The gentleman from California, Mr. Stark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I ask unanimous consent to revise and extend my remarks as I rise in support
Without objection
of the Safe and Timely Interstate Placement of Foster Children Act of 2006, H.R. 5403, and ask my associates to vote for this legislation. As the gentleman from California, Mr. Herger, has so eloquently described, this will help foster children across the country. But I think an easier way to look at it is here in the District of Columbia area, where we're a subway ride from 3 states, from Maryland to Virginia to D.C., and we'll find that a juvenile judge in one area may have a placement for a child with a relative or an acceptable foster family in another area as they move from Maryland to Virginia. Now, in California, in the gentleman's district there may not be a lot of people wanting to go to Oregon or Nevada. It's a little longer trip. But in areas like the New Jersey, New York area, where states are close by and children could easily be placed in close proximity and have to cross state lines, this legislation will allow that to be done. It takes care of a lot of technical details in terms of speeding up the process so that approval can be done across the state lines, and it calls on states to update their requirements for approving the transfer of children across state lines and into foster care. It probably will help older children, and by older I'm saying over 9 or older, who we have the most difficulty in placing in foster care, and it's for that reason that this will help. Right now, a child 9 years or older maybe has less than 20% chance of placement, and we need to do better, and this bill will help it. We've got 100,000 children ready for adoption, and this Congress should indeed do all that it can to expedite those procedures. Now, Mr. Speaker, I'd like at this point, first of all, to commend the distinguished chairman of the Public Assistance Subcommittee, the Ways and Means Committee, Mr. Herger, for his work on the Promotion of Safe and Stable Families bill, which we hope will be coming to the floor soon. Provides another $40 million to train caseworkers to help in this area. The Chairman Herger has done yeoman work in seeing that this bipartisan bill, and we're getting help, I know, from our junior senator from the state of California, who's offered to help expedite it on the Senate side, and with some luck we'll be able in this Congress, Mr. Speaker, to pass that bill. And at this point, Mr. Speaker, I would reserve the balance of my time. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I cannot resist the opportunity to note that it's this issue of helping children that in my 34 years here has never brought us together as any issue does. The gentlelady from Ohio, with whom I've often disagreed on other political issues, and I note the presence of Mr. DeLay of Texas, with whom I have disagreed on most every issue except in the area of helping children. Now, I suspect it's because the Republicans need more Republicans and they're trying to get more children into politics. But other than that, Mr. Speaker, it is, in fact, in a spirit of helping young people mature in this country. I don't know if many of you know that the gentleman from Texas, Mr. DeLay, is responsible, and I say this having chaired the district committee when there used to be one, but with Ms. Holmes Norton of the District of Columbia, he was instrumental in creating a family court in the District of Columbia, which put, as most other states or jurisdictions have. Now, he's done some other things with legislation in Texas with which I have a little trouble, but other than that, he has created a court here that helps children, and I want to remark on one other thing in Mr. DeLay's career. I'm aware that in Texas he has created a most unique, and it sounds to me like an exciting community called the Rio Bend community. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with this, Mr. Speaker, creates a subdivision of, let's say, 8 homes. I suspect they're probably ranch homes or standard homes where 8 families who have foster children and perhaps birth children can live in close proximity and share babysitting and teaching. And when I talk about sharing teaching, I'm also aware that in this area of Rio Bend, Texas, the distinguished gentleman from Texas, Mr. DeLay, is known as Old Hypotenuse. And Old Hypotenuse has been tutoring the children in this community in geometry. Now, he may not know that I got 100 in geometry at Wauwatosa High School, and I might be able to come down and spell you for a while, Mr. DeLay, Mr. Speaker. I might be able to spell him for a while. But I just want to commend Mr. Herger, Ms. Price, whose absence I notice, and Mr. DeLay for the marvelous work they have done for children in this country. And I hope that we can continue to, on a bipartisan way, unify our efforts here in the House to make every day for every child in this country more healthy, with better education, a better opportunity to develop into citizens of which we can all be proud. And at that point, I'd like to yield 3 minutes to the gentleman from California, Mr. Cardoza.
Gentleman from California.
Will the distinguished Majority Whip yield?
I will yield, my friend.
Mr. Speaker, I don't think it should go unnoticed that the distinguished Majority Whip has become a recent adoptive father of, I believe, now a 7-month-old boy.
He's
and
18 months old.
18 months old, and we certainly have every hope that he'll grow up to be a Democrat. But aside from that, I want to extend the best wishes, and he's a man who practiced what he preaches and is doing his share to extend this concern for adoptive children in our country. And
Well, I thank my friend and little Charlie.
Gentleman from California, Mr. Stark.
Mr. Speaker, I believe that we have no more speakers, and Mr. DeLay has the right to close. I would just like to reiterate my thanks to all the people. I'd also like to mention Sean McCluskey, who's been my staff member on the Subcommittee for Human Resources for over 7 years and is unfortunately leaving us for greener pastures. But I want to thank all the staff on both sides of the aisle who worked so hard on these bills that come before our subcommittee, which gets little attention outside of the professionals in the social work field. And again, thank our chair, thank Mr. DeLay, and the people who've worked so well together to make this important step to improve the lives of foster and perhaps adoptive children. I yield back the balance of my time.